Welcome back to Mighty Habits, everyone. I'm Steven,
And I'm Mary.
and we're so glad you could join us for another deep dive.
That's right, Stephen. Today we'll be taking a closer look at Funny Story by Emily Henry.
Now, this book, Funny Story, it really seems to have captured the hearts and minds of, well, a lot of people.
It really has. And it's got us thinking.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like, what exactly is it about certain characters that make readers, fall head over heels?
Okay, I see what you mean. Like what makes a character, quote unquote, swoon worthy?
Exactly. Because, let's be honest, it's not always just about looks, is it?
You're telling me there are plenty of, well, shall we say, aesthetically pleasing characters out there.
Right. But they don't all have that certain something.
That je ne sais quoi, that makes us want to, I don't know, like throw our books across the room in a fit of romantic despair.
Ha ha ha, exactly. So what is it? What are those qualities that make a character truly irresistible?
Hmm. Well, for starters, I think they have to be, more than just a pretty face.
Absolutely. Depth is key. They need layers, complexity, maybe even a few flaws.
Oh, definitely flaws.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
Right.
And it's those imperfections that often make a character feel more real, more relatable.
Totally. It's like you see them messing up, making questionable decisions, and you're just like, oh, honey, I've been there.
Uh-huh, yeah. You're rooting for them to figure things out, to grow, to find happiness, even if it means stumbling along the way.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, I think we're all drawn to characters who feel authentic, who wrestle with real emotions.
And speaking of emotions, there's been a lot of talk about Funny Story taking readers on a real roller coaster ride,
Oh, yeah. Laughter, tears, the whole 9 yards.
which got us thinking, what kind of story is this?
Yeah.
What kind of story has that power to evoke such, well, strong and contrasting emotions?
Well, it makes you think, right? Like, what kind of journey are these characters on?
Right, because you don't get that kind of emotional range from a story that's just, fluff.
Exactly. It suggests there's something deeper going on. Maybe some serious obstacles, some inner turmoil, some real stakes.
So we're thinking love story, but not just your typical run-of-the-mill, happily ever after kind of thing.
Right. There's got to be some grit in there, some angst, some real challenges that test the characters and their relationships.
Well, that's certainly intriguing.
Yeah.
And speaking of intrigue, there's been a lot of buzz surrounding the main character in Funny Story, Miles Nowak. And the buzz is he's quite the heartthrob.
He is. But get this, apparently he's a big fan of Crocs.
Wait, what? Crocs, like the shoes.
Yeah. The rubbery holy ones.
Huh. That's an interesting choice.
Right. Like, how does that even work? How can someone be considered swoon-worthy and still rock Crocs?
Well, I guess that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Maybe Emily Henry is trying to tell us something here.
Oh, I think she definitely is. Like, maybe she's challenging our preconceived notions of what makes a character appealing.
Right, like maybe it's not about conforming to some, arbitrary standard of attractiveness.
Exactly. Maybe it's about being comfortable in your own skin, quirks and all, even if those quirks include, well, Crocs.
I like that. It's a reminder that swoon-worthy can come in all shapes, sizes, and footwear choices.
Absolutely. Maybe Miles's confidence in his own style, even if it's a bit unconventional, is part of his charm.
Maybe you're right. Maybe those Crocs are a sign of his authenticity, his individuality.
Yeah, and that kind of self-assurance can be incredibly attractive. It makes you wonder if this whole Croc thing is a bigger metaphor for something else in the story.
Ooh, interesting. Like maybe Funny Story is challenging our assumptions about love, relationships, what makes a person truly swoon-worthy.
Exactly. It's like Emily Henry is saying, hey, don't judge a book by its cover or a character by his footwear.
It seems there's a lot more to this Miles Nowak than meets the eye. And those Crocs, well, they might just be the tip of the iceberg.
It really is amazing how one little detail, like a character's shoes, can get people talking.
It is. It's like,
Yeah.
what is it about those Crocs? But, it really speaks to the power of good writing.
Oh, absolutely. Emily Henry really knows how to create characters that feel real and relatable.
Definitely. And speaking of real and relatable, we talked earlier about how Funny Story is supposed to be a real emotional roller coaster.
It is. It's got you laughing 1 minute and then reaching for the tissues the next.
Which is, pretty true to life. You think about it. We experience a whole range of emotions every day.
Exactly. And that's what makes a story like this so engaging. It's not afraid to explore the complexities of, well, life.
I guess that's what makes those contrasting emotions so powerful in storytelling. It's like It mirrors our own experiences.
Right. And it allows authors to tackle bigger themes, deeper issues. Things like, the ups and downs of relationships, the struggles of personal growth.
It's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some shade in there to make the light stand out.
Exactly. And it's through those darker moments, those moments of vulnerability, that characters really come alive.
I see what you mean. It's like you can't have true joy without experiencing a little bit of sadness.
Right. And it's those imperfections, those moments of weakness that make us connect with characters on a deeper level.
Because it reminds us that, hey, we're all flawed. We all make mistakes.
Exactly. And it's through those mistakes, those struggles, that we learn and grow. And that's what makes a story compelling. It's seeing characters evolve, overcome challenges, and ultimately become better versions of themselves.
It makes me think about Miles and his Crocs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe those Crocs aren't just a random quirk. Maybe they're a symbol of something deeper.
Like what?
Like maybe they represent his journey of self-acceptance. He's not afraid to be himself, even if it means embracing something a little unconventional.
I like that. It's like those Crocs are a metaphor for his willingness to stand out, to be different.
And maybe that's what makes him so attractive to other characters in the story.
Right. They see his confidence, his authenticity, and they're drawn to it.
So it's not about the Crocs themselves. It's about what they represent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of good writing. It makes you think, makes you question your assumptions.
Okay, but switching gears for a second, there was something else that caught my attention in some of the early reviews of Funny Story.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, it was the mention of hard nipples.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I have to admit, I was a little taken aback at first. Like, where did that even come from?
I know. It definitely seemed a bit out of left field. But it got me thinking about context.
Context. How so?
Well, think about it. Without knowing the context, that phrase could be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It could be funny, it could be awkward, it could be, well, a lot of things.
Exactly. But within the story, that detail likely has a very specific meaning. It's connected to a scene, a moment, an interaction between characters.
So it's like hearing a snippet of a conversation out of context.
Yeah.
You might totally misinterpret it.
Right. And that's why context is so important. It shapes our understanding, our reaction.
So what you're saying is, don't jump to conclusions.
Exactly. We need to consider the source, the situation, the author's intention before we form an opinion. It's about, being a critical reader.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to, something as nuanced as literature.
Oh, absolutely. And those seemingly random details, well, they often have a deeper significance within the larger narrative.
So those hard nipples, well, maybe they're not so random after all.
Maybe not. Maybe they're a clue, a symbol, a turning point in the story.
I guess we'll just have to read the book to find out.
Exactly. Thinking about it, it seems like Emily Henry is really good at keeping us guessing.
Yeah, she does. Like, just when you think you've got her figured out, she throws you a curveball, like those Crocs.
Right. And it's not just the characters, it's the whole storytelling style, too. It's layered, it's nuanced, it's not afraid to, get a little messy.
So we've established that Funny Story is more than just, a typical rom-com.
Oh, way more. It's about real people, real relationships, real struggle.
It's about, figuring out who you are, embracing your flaws, finding love in unexpected places.
And that's what makes it so relatable. It's a story that speaks to all of us, I think.
Well, you've definitely convinced me. I'm adding Funny Story to my reading list right now. But before we go, I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you think would enjoy this book.
That's a good question. I think anyone who enjoys a good love story, for starters.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But what about beyond that?
Well, I think anyone who appreciates, well-developed characters, witty dialogue, a little bit of emotional depth.
So if you're looking for a book that will make you laugh, make you cry, and maybe even make you think a little bit,
And this is the book for you.
sounds like a winner to me. And for those of you who've already read Funny Story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Head over to our social media pages and let us know what you loved about it.
Yeah. Tell us about your favorite characters, your favorite moments, what resonated with you.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Mighty Habits for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics.
We're always exploring new ideas, new perspectives, and we'd love for you to join us on that journey.
So until next time, happy reading and stay curious, folks.